Hello, welcome to my channel. My name's Di, and if this is the first time you've been to my channel, as it says, home and garden. So today we're out in the garden, and what we're doing today is looking at the lavender. Now the lavender really needs to be addressed, so that's what we're going to get stuck into today. So before we go any further, I do live on a busy road, so you will hear the cars going backwards and forwards. I'm out nice and early. It's about just after 8 in the morning on a September morning, but the traffic will increase. Hopefully we can get this done before that happens. Okay, so behind me you can see my lavender. Now, I've done my research and I have grown lavender for quite some years. And it talks about that it does need to be pruned every year and not to cut down into the woody stem. And I know from experience, once you do, it won't regrow from that area. So you do need to prune it on a regular basis. So from my research, it says prune it when it finishes flowering. I've been waiting for this to finish flowering for 12 months. So this is constantly flowering. I do have different types of lavender in here as well. So I know that I have French lavender, I have Avon View, and there's a few others that people have given me that I don't know what they are. But anyway, what my intention to do today is not only to prune it, but to dry it out and to be able to use it as dried lavender. Now, to do the dried lavender, again, there's lots of different methods that they say. They say to pick it before the buds have actually blown, so they're just small buds, and others say pick it when it's in full bloom. So you can see how it is. I've got various stages of it, so we're just going to do it. And I'm actually, because there's so much of it, I'm going to do it in the dehydrator. So we'll have a look at that later. Now, with anything that you're doing, especially out in the garden, you've got to look at what PPE, personal protection equipment, you need. So I just want to say, before I ever come out into the garden, I always wear sunscreen. Here in Australia, with the sun being so strong, it doesn't matter if it's winter or summer, we need to protect ourselves. So wearing sunscreen is the first form of protection there. And the second is to wear a hat. So I will be putting a hat on to protect my face and my neck from the sun. And then I wear gloves. I do have long sleeves on today. I'm actually allergic to bees, and there are heaps of bees in here. There's never a good time for me to come and do this, except I suppose very late in the evening when it's almost dusk, the bees have gone. But things just don't work out that way that I can do it at the perfect time. So I've just got to be really careful. I'll shake the plants before I approach them. Hopefully the bees will move off. But I suppose wearing long sleeves, gloves will help to combat the risk, I hope. Anyway, let's get into it and see how we go. So what we need to do next is to actually cut the flower heads off the actual plant. So I've got a bucket here and I'm going to be cutting them and dropping them into this bucket, and all the stems and leaves will go into my compost. So they'll be composted. If I do have any very thick ones, what I tend to do is to put them in my kindling pile, because we do like to have a lot of, we have the fire pit going of an evening, which is really nice to sit around when we have friends visit. So that is really lovely once it's dry, to help start the fire, and the smell is beautiful. So some of it, if they're thicker stems, they're a little bit woody, that's what I'll be doing with them. But the rest of it, the nice soft leaves and stems, they'll be going into the compost and eventually end up back in the garden. So let's get on to it. Okay, there you have it. We've pulled off all the flower heads, and then I've got a pile of stuff to get rid of as well. But we did get quite a lot. I mean, you can see how big that pot is. I did cut more off, so I've probably trimmed up half of that garden bed. I'm going to leave the other ones that are there. I'm going to be leaving them for a few more weeks because they're just loaded in bees. So once what I've trimmed back starts growing back and flowering again, then I'll trim back the other side of it. So now we need to take those inside and get them on the dehydrator. Now, if you're doing this at home and you've only got a small bunch or maybe a few small bunches of lavender, you can tie them up with some string, hang them upside down in a place where they're going to stay dry and where there's a lot of airflow, and they will dry naturally without having to use a dehydrator. But because I'm doing so many of these, I would have had them hanging everywhere. So this will just make it quicker for me as well to put them in the dehydrator. So once they've been in the dehydrator, I will come back and I'll show you the result. Behind me I've got the dehydrator, and here I've got my racks that I'm going to be putting the lavender onto, and I've just got some baking paper here because there are holes in the racks, and the lavender, some of the small buds will definitely fall through that. The baking paper I do reuse while it's still good. I mean, I can use it a few times depending on what I've had on it. So all I need to do is to spread the lavender evenly onto the racks and then just load it all up into the dehydrator, and then we can get it dehydrating. It does say, the information that I've looked at does say that it takes 2 hours to dry, but some of these are quite large, the heads of the lavender, so I think that we'll have a look at it in 2 hours, but I do think it will take a lot longer than that. So let's come back when I've got all that done. And there we have it. All the racks are full. They've been loaded into the dehydrator. Now we'll just turn that dehydrator on. I'm going to be doing it at 60 degrees Celsius, and we'll see how it goes. Because some of the heads are quite big, I'm actually going to be giving it 4 hours. So I'll see how it goes after 4 hours, and if it needs more time, I'll add more time to it. Now, just keep in mind that there are so many different ways to do things, and what I'm showing you in this video is how I do it. This is not an instructional video on follow this step by step. This is showing you how I do it. So I always encourage you to do your own research and don't rely on what I'm telling you. This is, as I say, this is how I do it. This is my way. This is just showing you. This is not telling you how you should be doing it. And here you have it. Here are the dehydrated flower heads. The stalks and the leaves have been removed and the flower heads have been broken up. And this is the final product. Once you have your final product, you can use it in a variety of ways. Here you can see that I've put them into little organza bags, and these can be used for a variety of purposes. You could pop them into a drawer to just keep it fresh, and they do actually keep moths out of your wardrobe. You could also hang these in your car for a nice air freshener. You can use them in potpourri. You can use them if you're making soaps. There's many different uses for it. Do your research, you'll find many, many more. I hope that you have a go at doing this and have a lot of fun with it. Thanks for watching.